Hello and welcome to How to Sell to Women and Not Just Doing a Version in Pink. My name's Nikki Bonfanti. My company is Trusted Sales Dynamics. And for the next hour to 90 minutes, we're going to look at different ways that women appreciate being sold to. Now, there's probably a lot of men that appreciate the same things, but women appreciate them more so, and they're more significant and meaningful to women. And a lot of these things you probably know intuitively, instinctively, but are you actually doing them in your business? That's my challenge to you, to really think about what you could be doing more of, what you could be doing, more of in your business that could help you appeal more to your ideal clients. Now, I'm assuming that most of you have mainly female or at least some female clients because that's why you're here. And there's a task I'd like you to think about. I sent an email out, but some of you might have missed it. I sent an email out and it's written in the welcome instructions here to think about 3 purchases that you've made. Might be recently, might be a long time ago, but three purchases that come to mind, 3 things that you've bought. Ideally one that's online, at least one that's online, at least one that's offline, so you've got a mixture. And think about what made you make that purchase? What was it that triggered it for you? Maybe you're thinking about why you signed up to this program, the program of Sell Like a Woman, because this is a bonus that goes with people that signed up to that. But think about other things as well. What made you sign up to things? What made you buy them? And also, how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? How did the buyer or the whole experience make you feel? And see if you can put some words around those. And I'll be checking in with you from time to time. This is going to be an interactive training. So if you want to have the microphone, you just need to put your hand up when I ask, which is in your little panel on the right there, the hand button. Or you can just type in your answers. But from time to time, I'll be checking in with you to ask some questions and to see how you're doing. So let's get going. This is your task. 3 things that you've bought recently. What prompted you to buy and how did that make you feel? So that's something to think about while we move forward. And just to look at who's here. Now, you might not all, there's quite a few of you here, but some of you I know couldn't make it live and you're going to listen to the recording, but all of you here have signed up to the How to Sell Like a Woman program that starts in a month's time, and you're here for this bonus session, which is fantastic. And as I say, I will be checking in on you later on. And it's really interesting that everyone here, I've had a conversation with. Everyone I know personally, I've had a conversation with. And that's one of the key things. We're told, we're bombarded with ideas of sales funnels and get as many people as you can and grow your list to grow your 6-figure business. But really, is that what we want? Maybe some of us do, maybe some of us want a bigger business, but what we want at the very least is connection with the ideal client. And all of you are my ideal client. All of you are people that I want to work with, that I enjoy working with, that I will enjoy working with. And the progression of getting to know people, of doing talks, for example, that's how I met Sally Sally Ann, by doing a talk for her a couple of weeks ago, of doing webinars. Some of you have met me through webinars. Some of you have met me, I've forgotten how because it's been so long that we've been working together. So there's all different ways that you can build that connection. And you'll have noticed that after my webinars, I invite people for a one-to-one, a free one-to-one. Most people get a lot of value from that, but I get a lot of value too because I learn more about you and I find out whether you're a fit for working with me, and if this program or whatever program I'm talking about at the moment is a good fit for you. So that progression, that one-to-one, that connection, yes, it can be slower. Yes, it's with fewer people. But at the end of the day, these people come back time and time again. There are people here that have been working with me 3, 4, 5 years. And they come back time and time again because of that trust and getting to know people. So that's one of the things we'll be touching on today and in more depth in the program. So I just thought it's an interesting observation. There's no one here that I don't know. So why are you here? Why are you here? Obviously, it's a bonus session, and that was one way that I wanted to find out who was interested in the program. It doesn't start for a month, but all of you have committed to it, paid for it, and committed to it. So that's great. We all know where we stand, and I can afford to send you all the bonuses and stuff. So that's really good. So, and that the reason why I had this session here was to give you something in between time, so you're not waiting a whole month and you've got something to do. But also because it gave some form of motivation. It gave a deadline, and obviously there were lots of bonuses other than that to help you make your decision. I'm assuming that you're also here because the majority of your clients are women, but maybe there's some other reasons. If there are any other reasons, please type them in or let me know, and I can find out if that's a common thing. So let me know if there are other reasons. Oh dear, I've just got a flash up saying that the sound is a bit iffy. It's my internet connection, so I will keep going and hope that it gets better. Thank you for that, Louisa. No, I don't think it is just you. Okay. So what we're going to cover today, hoping and praying that the internet connection is working well. Oh, it seems to be getting better now. What we're going to cover are 5 things that I've observed are really important when it comes to women choosing to buy, making that decision to buy. And I'll go through all of these 5 in a moment, but these are the 5 things. Okay, it's not just Louisa. Is it getting any better? Oh dear, it's quite bad. Okay, other people are listening to me and they said they joined this session because I asked them to. and they like listening to me and they always learn from me. Brilliant. Okay. Right. I think I'm going to keep going. Other people are suggesting that I log out and log in. Okay, more reasons. More reasons are I'd like to sell to men like a woman as well. Brilliant. Yes, that will be on the main course. Yeah, that will be on the main course, not on this program now. That'll be on the main course. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm focusing this one on how to sell to women and why to sell to women is that women over 35 years old make 95% of the household purchasing decisions. Now, I was quite astounded by that figure, but it probably makes sense. I'm still Dalek-like. Oh no, I hate it when that happens. The problem is, if I sign out and sign back in again, I might lose you all. So I'm going to plow on. I'm going to plow on and hope it gets better. So just thinking about your household, who was it in your household that decided what house you were going to live in? For us, it was me. I knew this was the right house for us. My husband has made which mortgage we go with. He did all the research on that, but I chose the house. And who is it in your household that makes the decision on what car you buy? Now that's more often a male decision. In our house, it's not me because I don't have a lot of interest in cars, but it was actually my daughter who made a decision in our house. Okay, you're saying it's it's just about okay, keep going. I will keep going. Okay. Now these are some of the silly things that I've seen that people think how to appeal to women is just to make whatever you produce in pink and charge more for it. Women's earplugs. Why would you care that the women's earplugs are pink? And why would you care enough to pay $1.50 more just to have them in pink? So there are some silly decisions out there. Now, to give you a little bit of background as to why, oh, okay, your husband chooses that, okay. Just to give you a little bit of background of where I'm coming from and why I think I've got something useful and interesting to share. I was a sales and marketing director for 15 years in publishing, sold in all kinds of countries, all in different countries, in different cultures, sold with different groups of people. I sold in the UK, I sold abroad, I sold in institutions, in companies. So I had quite a varied experience of selling. And then when I set up my own company, the first time I set up my own company was 16 years ago. Wow. And that was mainly to do management training. And I then got employed by Open University to train their managers, which I still do today, 16 years later. That's just a Saturday job. But I wanted to do training. I love training. And when I started networking, the thing I heard more and more and more was, how do I sell? How do I get more clients? How do I ask for the sale? All of this seemed a huge problem for people. And I just thought, why is that a problem? It's easy. Because I'd been living in that environment. I've been doing that for ages. But what I hadn't realized at that stage was how much more difficult it was selling yourself and putting yourself out there, and rather than being the face of a company. The rejection is a lot more painful and the stakes are a lot higher. So I realized then that there was a real need for this. And I started investigating different personality profiles because I was interested in that. And I worked for a very long time with Talent Dynamics, which some of you have done and are aware of. And Talent Dynamics goes back to the ancient Chinese and talks about these 4 energies that dominate different personalities. And your personality is likely to be a mix of these 4 dominant energies. And I found that a lot of my female clients were on this side of the square kind of thing. They were a lot of them were blaze. I had more women clients in the blaze energy, which is the people energy, connecting with people, engaging with people, chatting with people, that energy, than I did on the steel side. The steel side is all about processes and numbers and details. And I had more men on that side. Now, I couldn't generalize any more than that. And then I started working with another organization called the Fifth Institute, which takes the same information, back from the I Ching from thousands of years ago, but brings in this 5th element, the water, the spirit element, which was missing over here. So I'm now exploring that area. And whilst I was exploring that area, I was also doing some research on how different personalities were good at different stages of the sales cycle. So all of this information I will condense and put into Sell Like a Woman when and as it is relevant. But I just wanted to give you a bit of background as to where all this information is coming from and why I think I've got something to share. So I will pull out bits of this as we go through this and we go through the main program. But I won't go into real detail now, just to say that these are tools that identify people's personality, and this is the common sense, the knowledge, the intuition that every profiling tool, every personality profiling tool that you will have done is based on. So it's based on these 5 over here, elements, which will come up later on. So moving on. One of the first things that women like to feel, because they don't get enough of it, is feeling special, feeling significant. They don't want to feel like a number. Those sales funnels that bombard people with emails that tell them what step they have to go through next, that herds people together like cattle, are not as appealing to women as a way of making them feel really special. Now, I'm going to explain these pictures in a moment, but do you agree with that? Do you like when you're made to feel special? And have a think about any of the buying situations that you've been in and where you've actually bought something because somebody's made you feel special. I'm going to share a couple of examples from my stories here. So how can you do that? How do you make people feel special? Well, talk to people, talk to them and ask them questions, not just talk at people, but get to know them, ask them questions, find out what it is that they really, really need. And then find out what they're thinking and go a little bit deeper and give them advice, give them help, give them recommendations, but I wouldn't ever say give them the solution, because you never know what's going on in a client's life. You never know the whole picture. You know what they're telling you right now and what you're discussing, and you can dig a bit deeper. But a recommendation is so much stronger than a solution, and it shows that you're trying to be of service. Okay. All right, here's one. Sally Ann is saying that I sent her a message and invited her to the group, and I thanked her for promoting you. Okay, I got all my pronouns mixed up there, but thank you, Sally Ann. I get that message. So I hope that, yeah, you're saying that made you feel special. That's good. Now, another way to really engage with people and find out what they're really thinking and ask their opinion is to do surveys. And over 2 years ago, I ran a survey to find out what my clients, what my prospects, what my contacts really wanted my help on. I thought it was about sales. I thought it was about how to get new clients, how to close the sale, that kind of stuff. But in fact, when I did a survey, it was the biggest overriding need was how to have predictable income. So I created a program based on that. And from the survey, I put up a focus group. And from the focus group, I got ideas of the actual content and how the course could work. And from that, I ran a 6-month program. It's now a 3-month program because the 6 month went on a bit too long. I was putting too much into it. And so by asking people and getting feedback all the time, I created this program. And some of the people on that original program over 2 years ago are still with me today, moving on to different programs. So by asking people and really finding out what it is that they need, you will make them feel special. You'll make them feel that they are being listened to, and that is really, really important. So what can you do in your business to find out what people really want and to find out if what you are giving them is actually achieving the goals that you set? So have a think about that. What can you do to find out about your clients? I'll tell you another story, and this is the reason why there's pictures of biscuits here. I had a cold call. It was a cold call. It was from an organization that had an exhibition and they were looking to sell exhibition space. Now, it wasn't just any normal cold call, reading from a script, treating me like a number, not being interested in my answers, just going on to the next question. It wasn't like that at all. It was from a guy, but he'd obviously done his homework. He'd looked at my website, he commented on my website, he complimented me on some things in the website, so flattery was working, and he offered me a speaking place at this conference. Now this conference, this was 3 or 4 years ago when I had a business where I was helping sales managers. And this was a conference just for sales managers. So he'd done his homework, he'd found the website, he'd found me, and he was selling me exhibition space. But with the exhibition space was a chance to speak. And obviously that was far more important to me at the time to get my message out. So he didn't push it. He didn't say, buy now or you lose your place. He didn't say that. He said, have a think about it. I'll send you some information. By the way, what's your favorite biscuit? I thought that's a weird question. So I don't particularly have favorite biscuits, but I might have said digestive or hobnob. I can't even remember what I said. And he said, okay, let's make a date for 10 o'clock next Tuesday morning. Make a cup of coffee beforehand. We'll have coffee together over the phone and I'll send you some biscuits to go with it. So he sent me all the documentation. He sent me a packet of biscuits in the post, which miraculously didn't crumble. And we had that appointment. Now, what was he doing there? He was flattering, but he'd found out about me. He made me feel good. And then he asked me a personal question. He didn't have a stack of biscuits in the office that they were promoting or sending and getting kickbacks on for promoting. There wasn't anything like that. It was genuinely what was my choice. He went into a shop and bought them and put them in the post. That takes a bit of effort. So that made me smile. It made me feel like, yes, he really wanted to have this phone call. And do you think I turned up for that phone call? Yeah, I did. I was there because I didn't want to let him down because he'd put that effort in. So that, I'm going to try this word, reciprocity of giving and getting was really working. So he had done his homework and he got the sale. I did speak at that conference, and I did buy some exhibition space to go with it. So it worked. It worked. So I'm not saying we should bribe our clients, but making them feel special with something really small, something that doesn't cost a lot of money, can really help to show that you care about them and that you're taking it seriously. Okay, I'm just going to check into some. Oh, here's some nice comments. One of my, oh, this is from Louisa. One of my, oh, damn, I've lost the comments. Sorry. This keeps, I've got a tiny little box to read here. Oh, dear. You're saying something about Lindt chocolate. And I've lost it. Okay, one of my suppliers always sends a lovely bar of Lindt chocolate with every sample request and every order, and it just makes me smile. What a brilliant idea. Just something small, something that will bring pleasure. What a lovely idea. So, and yeah, as she says, unexpected added value is lovely. Very good idea. Yeah. Great, brilliant. Thanks for that, Louisa. Great idea. Now, another way you can really make people feel special is to give personalized gifts. Now, these are examples of the kind of books that I get personalized and give to my VIP clients to make them feel special. This, I think I gave them to my first PIP group. And this one over here, I've got a one-to-one coaching program running at the moment, specifically for women who are in overwhelm. And one of the key tools I teach them is to journal and to track their thoughts and to manage their emotions through journaling. So I send them an A4 spiral bound journal with their name on it to start off the program. So yes, it costs a bit of money, but these are for my VIP clients. They've paid a lot of money to work with me. So it's only a small fraction of what they paid that I can reinvest and send them unexpected value, as Louisa called it, unexpected gifts. It's never advertised. It's not part of the package, but it's just things that I send them at the beginning or partway through the program. So what could you do? That doesn't have to cost a lot, but it's just little and simple, but would make them smile, would make them feel like they're being looked after, and would make them feel like they are they're special. Good. Okay. I'm just looking at your comments. Right. Now, another thing, another little story of something that I did. This was, again, maybe 3 years ago. I was experimenting, as I mentioned earlier, with different stages of the sales cycle and how different personalities were better at different parts of the sales process than others. And as part of that, I wherever I went networking, I offered people a free Talent Dynamics profile assessment and a chat to find out if my research was right, so that if I could interview some people with steel energy, I would see if these were actually the skills that they enjoyed and were good at. So I got a lot of new clients that way because I was offering something free. I was asking for help. People respond very well. We're very good at asking for help. We're very good at giving help, but we're not so good at asking for it. But when you do, people do really respond. So whenever you ask for help, either in a Facebook post or through an email, you will get a good response. And you're also involving them in something. So like with the survey that I mentioned earlier, and like with this research that I was doing, I was involving them and I kept them up to date with what their contribution was leading to. So I kept communicating with them when this was published, it's now on my business cards and things like that, I would let them know that they were a part of that. And being a part of something is also something that appeals a lot to women in particular. Belonging, that sense of belonging and being part of a group and being in the know and seeing behind the scenes and all of that stuff is really appealing. So there's another thing to think about. What could you be doing that would help your clients feel that they're part of the process? And are there any things that you can ask for help from your clients with? Because that's another way of really engaging with them. Okay. Now, let's summarize where we're up to so far. To make your female clients feel significant, ask them questions, make sure that you understand their real needs, you dig a bit deep, personalize the service as much as possible, ask for help and involve them. And have a think, how does any of that relate to your buying experience? Has anyone bought anything because of this, because it made them feel significant and it was personalized, or it made them feel good? I know Louisa uses her suppliers because of the chocolate. Okay, I'm losing my messages now. So I'll keep going. I'll come back to you a bit later. So the connection is another thing. Ironic when I'm having such bad connections technically here. Now this is a bit of a sweeping statement and some of you might disagree with it. But this is some research that I found. Women care less about facts and science and more on how it makes them feel. More about the experiences and the connection. Now, as a sweeping statement, there may be some validity to it. It certainly is a little bit dangerous to think that, because we want more girls to go into science, and anyone who's seen that film Hidden Figures will know how important and amazing that could be. But what we're getting at here is that the connection, the experience is really important to women. And that might be relevant to you. Now, I'm showing this picture, which was taken from a conference that I set up a couple of months ago, seemed a while ago. And the importance here of eye contact. Now, when you go into a shop, does it annoy you as much as it annoys me? When I go into a shop and there's people behind the till chatting to each other and they barely look at you, they just hold their hand out, still looking at their colleague, take your money, put it in the till, and haven't even exchanged eye contact, haven't smiled, haven't even talked to you, nothing. Now that really annoys me. I think that's really, really rude, and I would choose not to shop there anymore on that basis. So that eye contact, that connection, is really important at every level. So, you know the story of Pretty Woman, the judgments that they made about her when she walked into a shop, and we can be quite guilty of making judgments or making assumptions. Now, assumptions can be really dangerous, and I know a lot of my clients, my contacts, make this mistake, that if they've asked somebody for the sale, or they've put an offer out and they don't hear from somebody, they assume the answer is no. And that is a really big assumption and a really big mistake. So making judgments and assumptions can be a big mistake because we don't know the whole story. And how do we find out the whole story? Is by asking, is by continually communicating, picking up the phone and saying, I sent you something last week. Have you had a chance to think about it? Life gets in the way. There's far many reasons why they haven't got back to you than the one you think it is. The answer is no. It could be they need to talk to other people about it. They're saving up to buy the money for it. They've put it in their diary to get back to you on a certain date, but they haven't told you what that date is. There's a million different reasons. So making assumptions and judgments is a mistake, and that can lead to not getting the sale. Now, this is a slide from something I was doing 4 or 5 years ago, about how connecting with clients is like dating, how selling is like dating. And this isn't a unique, original concept, but 4, 5, 6 years ago, it wasn't as well known as it is now. But my point there was that you take things one step at a time. You meet maybe at a network meeting, you get to know somebody, you exchange pleasantries, you maybe give them compliments, you ask them questions about what they do, you find out about them, you become friends, you become good contacts, you want to help each other out. That all starts first, and that trust is built before you ask for the sale. So that's the networking stage. Then you start to ask more questions. Maybe you go for a coffee together and get to know each other on a deeper level. And maybe you invite them to an event that you're running, or you give them a freebie, or they try something free before the main program that you're selling. So this try before you buy idea that everyone does now. It was quite new about 6 years ago, but it's all about moving people on to the next step and not asking for the sale straight away, which is a mistake so many people make. And particularly women don't like to be rushed. They like to take their time to make their decision and to have that time respected and not rushed. So taking things one step at a time is really good for selling to women, to everybody really, but particularly to women. Okay, I've got a comment here. The first time I used a new company to get some leaflets printed, there was a chat box with a live person at the other end to help me with any queries. And if I had a problem, they were superb. They sorted out my issue and emailed me a link to the payment page so that I didn't have to faff, and they made everything easier for me. This connection through the chat box was important to me. That's brilliant. So that human connection, that way of personalizing the connection and a way of getting instant information, and not just go to our webpage or go to our FAQ. They actually sent, this was Louisa again, sent her the link. Absolutely loving this webinar. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so that's another great example, thank you, Louisa, of how connecting with people and having that personal touch, that personal contact can really be helpful. So again, thinking about your business, what can you be doing to have that connection, to have that step by step, so that you are connected with your clients each step of the way? Another way that works particularly well for women is groups, Facebook groups. Whilst they are still around and they're not charging, and there's probably all kinds of changes in the pipeline, but for now, Facebook groups are really popular. I'm sure you're members of quite a few. This is my Trusted Sales Club, one that's free. It's open to anyone that wants to know how trusted selling works. We have different events on different days. We get to know each other. We have the Testimonial Tuesday, when people can talk about how they have had great service from somebody and sort of shout from the rooftops about good service from other people. And people have won awards as a result of that. We have Free Friday, when people can promote their own business. And there's been some great connections made on the Free Fridays. I've seen quite a few people connecting in similar businesses, so that they can refer business to each other, as well as getting new clients. So there's a lot going on in groups, and I think groups make people feel safe. They give them that sense of belonging. If the groups get too big, then there's not that sense. Some of the groups I'm in, or I have set up, are quite small and they're really active. Probably the one of my academy is one of the smallest, but the most active. There's usually someone in there most days asking for advice or giving help, or just sharing information. So when they're small, they can be really powerful, because you have that real sense of belonging and supporting each other. And I think 300 is probably the maximum that I would like to go. Any more than that, and they get a bit unwieldy. So small is beautiful is one of the messages that I'm saying today, that you can get a lot more consistent and committed clients if you keep it small, if you grow it one stage at a time, rather than trying to jump the steps and grow it too big all at once. Okay. Just checking into your comments. They're all over the place here. That's not your fault, it's mine. Okay, we'll move on. So, summarizing this second point, how to connect more. So, making friends with people, getting out there and making friends with people. There's a lot of you that have that blaze energy, that need that people energy, other people around you. And a lot of us work from home and sometimes don't see anyone from the time we drop the kids or the husband off at the school or station to the time that they come home at night. So getting out and meeting people and coming onto things like this to connect with people, going to networking meetings is a really great way to connect with others, and then to follow that up, to keep in touch with people, get to know them, ask them questions, invite them to things, but at each stage taking it one step at a time. And after you've had those one-to-ones, those coffee meetings, then aim to build up small groups of people that you can talk to and get to know on a deeper level. And how does that relate to your buying experiences, the 3 experiences I asked you to think about at the beginning of the website, of the webinar, sorry, I'm reading and and speaking at the same time. Not a good idea. I need a buddy here to read my messages. I think I'll do that next time. Okay, I've just found another message. They're all mixed up, so I'm getting old ones. Okay, Julia gets infuriated. I get very British and passive aggressive. I'm guessing this is about the shop workers who don't speak to you. Muttering something sarcastic under my breath. Oh, I bet they're quaking with that. Guilty. Whispering something sarcastic under your breath is quite a good way for you to release it. Okay. Oh, Annette's got a comment here. Let's have a look. Okay. I bought some trousers and 2 tops via an image consultant last week. Okay, that's good. I got some Julia time where we had a nice gossip. She advised me what to buy and had lots of samples to try on. She also talked me out of buying some items, which I appreciated. That's a really good point. Advising people, giving advice on what they should and shouldn't buy, and backing that up with your expertise is a really, really strong thing to do. That's what built my career as a bookseller. When I was traveling around schools and libraries, I was advising school owners and librarians and university people what English language materials they should use in Italy. And often I had some really naff products as well as some excellent ones. And if they were tending towards the naff ones, I would say, I don't think this is good enough for your students. Wait until there's a better product coming out in this range, or this one is much better for you because, and give that expertise, give that reasons why things aren't so good for them. So yeah, that really works. Thank you for that, Annette. Brilliant. Thank you. Honest and authentic. Now, this is my key point of my business, of everything that I have suffered from buying from people who are not honest and authentic. And I'm guessing some of you have too, that what you're promised up front is not what you get once you pass the money over. And despite being a woman and having emotional intelligence and intuition and a fairly good BS detector, I have fallen for it in the past. I'm less likely to now, I hope, touch wood. But we can be conned, we can be bamboozled by figures and data and promises more than anything, of things that work that don't necessarily. So being honest and authentic is really appreciated by our female clients. I'm going to share a story. I hope you don't mind. I won't say who it is, but somebody on the call here shared with me a story last week of how she was on a course, a 6-month course based in America, which I'm guessing cost quite a lot. And she learned a lot from it, but part of the course was on sales strategies according to Americans, and it was all about the hard sell. It was all about get them to pay up now, get them to pay while they're on the line, all of this scarcity strategies, which really I don't like at all. And if anyone starts on those with me, I just put the phone down or I stop the process completely, because I know that they've probably got something to hide. If they're trying to sell it that quick, then they don't want me to go and investigate, because there's a reason for that. So this person I'm talking about, she was taught this is how you do it, and she was selling something beautiful and sensory and something that lifted your heart and made you feel good and about healing and very spiritual, and selling it in that way was just not working, because the kind of people that she attracted, or the kind of people who wanted that, didn't appreciate that mode of selling. And in fact, she had one client who was nearly in tears and told her that no, she wasn't going to buy, and gave her some quite harsh feedback about that sales strategy. So she's now rethinking it, obviously, and doing it completely differently. So there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people saying how we should be selling, and some of it will be good, some of it will be bad. It's up to you and your detector, your emotional intelligence, your intuition, to work out, is that right for me personally, and is it right for my clients, and is it right for what I'm trying to sell? Is it all aligned? That's a key thing. It's all about alignment. And if you're not honest and authentic from the heart, from the very center of your soul, then it's going to spill out. It's going to spill out in your language. It's going to spill out in your energy if you're trying to take on methods and ideas that other people are teaching you, that don't sit with your own. So this is me showing you how not to sell. This is one of the talks I used to do about superhero salesperson. And I talk about how you take off the mask. To be a real superhero, you take off the mask and you become yourself. You show your vulnerability. You show who you are. You turn up who you are. And part of that is really getting to know yourself, which is where my interest in personality profiles and all of that comes from. It's really understanding yourself and knowing yourself. And the other things I say there is that it's not about assuming the sale and having the contract and pressurizing people to sign up there and then. It's about getting to know them, all the stuff we've been talking about there. But the key thing is take off the mask and be yourself. Really understand yourself. Get feedback from people about who you really are and what really works. I encourage all of my clients, everyone in my club, in everywhere, to get testimonials, to get feedback, to get feedback from the clients about what they've got from you, what they've gained from you, what your value is. We're so close to it, and the things that we do naturally seem so obvious to us that we don't realize the value. I've heard so many times, and it happened in the talk I was doing recently, of someone said, well, that was easy for me. It was actually a guy who said this. He said, well, it's easy for me to take photos, so I don't really want to charge. But it's that whole point of what your talent is, what is easy for you, is exactly the kind of thing that people are happy to pay for and happy to buy from you, because it saves them doing it themselves. And it would take them far longer and be far more painful for them to do than it is for you. So that's exactly where you should be charging and where you should be selling your wares. So I went off piste a little bit there, but the point is being yourself, understanding yourself, and knowing what your real talents are, and understanding your value. And the best way to do that, I remember now, the best way to do that is to get feedback, recommendations, testimonials from your clients. And the two best times to get that are at the end, when you've achieved your goal and they've received everything that they want to receive from you at the end, because you'll find out what they've learned from it and you might be surprised. And it also gives you an opportunity to find out what they need next. And the other time is as soon as they buy from you, to ask, what made you make that decision? What made you decide, yes, today I'm actually going to put that money in the bank account. I'm going to press that PayPal button. I'm going to send off that invoice. What actually made them do that? Because that can be a really good insight and can help feed into your marketing about what it was that actually made them make that decision. So there's something else for you to think about. I've got another little story here of when I bought something and why I bought it. And it was my holiday, my summer holiday last year. Now this is Joanne, and I met Joanne at a networking meeting I was speaking at in somewhere like Southampton or Portsmouth or somewhere miles away. So not a network meeting I go to regularly by any means. It was the one and only time I went to it, I think. So I'd never met the people there before. And Joanne was doing a kind of 10-minute slot on her business, and she's a travel counsellor. And she seemed really knowledgeable, really caring about her clients, and I liked her. And I thought, yes, that's someone I would like to do business with. But I hadn't made up my mind at that stage. Now, this was back in the spring of last year, and what my family and I were looking for at that time was a beach holiday. We wanted a beach holiday. My daughter fancied Greece because she's got this big map on her wall that she scratches off new places. So new places are a big deal for her. So Greece, beach, somewhere nice and easy to access where we could just laze around for 2 weeks. And so far we'd had really expensive ideas coming up on the internet. It's going to cost us about £6,000, and we didn't have that kind of money. So we were looking at maybe doing something completely different. Anyway, I asked Joanne, where's the best place that you've been and what you would recommend to your clients? And she didn't know my history, she didn't know my situation, but she talked about this place called Parga in Greece, which is this picture here. And she raved about this place in Greece, and she said that every client she'd sent there went back for more. They went back another time. And it's the only place in the Mediterranean that she's gone back to for her own holidays. So of course that was of interest to me, and so I asked her to have a look at it for me, and she came back with a quote which was under half of what we've been looking at before, for 2 weeks, for a hotel on the beach. It was actually, we counted 20 steps from our bedroom to the sea. We could hear the sea as we went to sleep, and we had 2 gorgeous weeks there with something that we could afford. Now that was a little bit of magic there, because she actually talked exactly about what it was I needed. But it was also because I got to know her, I got to trust her, and she was very knowledgeable about her business. So that's a little story about what made it work for me in buying the holiday. So I mentioned this scarcity and abundance idea, and this idea that you've got to buy now, and making up stories that, you know, there was a time when I got all these emails from coaches saying there's a flood in my basement and I have to sell all my courses really cheaply. I thought, what's going on? What's this big flood going on in America? And I found out all these coaches had been on the same course, which had been telling them to get money quick, tell people there's been a disaster and they'll want to help out and they'll want to buy your products at a knockdown price and get a bargain. So they were all using this same strategy word for word, and building on this scarcity idea, which I thought was ridiculous. Now I think a way that works much better is to really think with an abundant mindset, to think about the more you give, the more you'll get back. The more that you share your information and your knowledge, the more other people will share it on and tell others about you, and you'll get stuff coming back. So to treat others in a really decent, humane way means that they'll come back to you. If you kind of nail them to the floor and force them to buy something from you, saying it's your last chance, when they know it really isn't, it's a lie, then you're not going to get the repeat business. So how to be honest and authentic. Be yourself, really understand yourself, and take the mask off and understand what your value is by asking others. Tell the truth. That's not too hard to do. There's a good quote that says, if you tell the truth, you won't have to remember it because it's always true. And then think abundance rather than scarcity. There's quite a few people that I've spoken to on the phone. I've set up one-to-one calls, and they're not ready to buy from me right there and then. So we either set a date and talk again, or I just keep communicating with them for when they're ready. And usually they'll come back to me at some stage. There's one woman who came back to me. She saw me speak 3 years previously, and it was only when she really needed me that she still remembered me. She still got communications from me, so we started working together. So things come around at the right time. There's no rush, there's no pressure to make those sales. The right people will come at the right time. I really believe that. Okay, let's move on. Now, sensory, having different experiences, different senses. Oh, hang on. I've got another comment here. Sorry. I think the biggest turn off, this is Sarah, the biggest turn off is when someone answers their mobile phone while they're talking to you. Ah, okay. Especially if you're in a meeting or you're trying to buy something off them, or even if you walk into a shop and they're on the phone and they don't even look up, or an office and they don't look up because they're on the phone. That's pretty rude. At least some eye contact and a sign to say, I'll be with you in a minute or something like that. Yeah. Oh, another comment from Sarah. Sarah's on a roll now. You can really tell when someone is trying to schmooze you. Authenticity is always vital. Brilliant. Yes, yes, yes. Having your detectors out for the schmooze is really, really handy. You might need that on Friday, Sarah. Experiences, sensory, and a multi-layered approach. Now, again, this is all about the different ways that we are connected to people and the different ways we're contacted by people. It's usually not the first contact, not the only way of meeting someone that we will sign up and work with them. It's often maybe we meet them at a networking meeting, we read a blog of theirs, we see a funny tweet of theirs, we get invited to a webinar, or we are invited to download something that they've written that we find really useful. All these different things can help us make that final decision. And using the senses as well is a very great way to appeal to women in particular. Giving them treats, giving them a little things that will make them feel good about themselves, like Louisa's example of the chocolate, like the de-stress pulse roll-on that you will have that you'll be getting as a result of signing up for this from Louisa. These things are meant to help you feel good about yourself, so that you want to continue with the program, you want to sign up, you feel good. If you start feeling good about yourself, then that will spill over to feeling good about other people and passing on the good news. So these little things can really help make people feel good about you, about the whole experience, and it all feels positive in their minds. And also thinking about your environment. Some people work better outside, and with the nicer weather coming on now, maybe you could take if you're a coach, maybe take your coaching outside. Sometimes I do walking coaching when I walk with my client on the Downs, because I live right near Epsom Downs. I'm so lucky. We can just walk out and talk while we're doing the coaching, and see the beautiful countryside and rest our eyes on that horizon. So thinking about your environment and thinking about how you can make it more appealing and more beautiful. Maybe when you run events, this is another photo from the conference I ran recently. When you run events, it's not just the content, it's not just what people are going to listen to, but it's the whole ambience. We held this at Denby's Wine Estate, which is lovely scenery, lovely place in the country, lovely airy rooms with natural light, which is really important to me. And the catering was over the top, I think, over the top catering, loads of food, loads of good stuff, making people feel that they were looked after, they were cared for. People were tweeting about the food more than they were about the content of the conference. But the important thing is they were tweeting and sending social media messages about the event. That's the important thing. And it was about the way it made them feel. Retreats, It's mostly women that go on retreats, and that's really special time. Now, a retreat might be out of your budget. It might be something that you aspire to, but can you have mini retreats? Can you have mini workshops, or I know Paula on the call has got a weekend in a nice hotel when she's doing her healing workshop. So there are things that you can create experiences. How can you create experiences? I have a VIP day that I run in a spa, and we use the different elements of the water and the wood and the fire, and all of those different elements in the different spa experiences. So the water of the jacuzzi, the wood of the hot tub outside in the woods, the heat of the sauna, all of that stuff. And we talk about relevant parts of the business and the sales process in the sauna and in the spa. So there are different ways that you could incorporate these things into your business to make them feel really yummy on all levels. And I'm putting in a picture of, this is an exhibition I did years ago. Oh, this is the exhibition that guy with the biscuits sold me the space to. So it's a long time ago. And it was a different business I was in then. It was all about sales managers. And this is my team that helped me out. And I've put here a picture of Louisa's room spray. It might not have been that exact room spray that I used at the time, because this is a long time ago, but when I'm helping people set up their exhibitions to sell to people, I help them think about all 5 senses. So yes, it's got to look appealing. That's the first thing. Your eyes are the first thing that you've got to appeal to with your exhibition space. It's all got to link together. It's got to have a theme. It's got to have a brand, all of that stuff. And maybe you can have music. That's not always the best idea, because it might be a really noisy show, but thinking about what sounds you can hear. Maybe you could, and having a spray to have a distinctive smell, a good smell that people will just feel good about. It will be uplifting and make them feel good. They might not realize that they're actually smelling something. They'll just feel that, oh, this is a good space. I'm going to come back here, or I'm going to stay here. That's the key thing, to get people to stay. So what other senses have we got? Oh, taste. You can't see it here, but this green bowl here had chocolates in it, and on each chocolate I had a little message. So depending on what chocolate they picked, there was a little message. Now, there was no scientific theory behind it, nothing, nothing. I just made it up. But people attach meanings to those things, and we had really in-depth conversations. One woman I'd never met before opened a little message and said, oh, I was talking about this to my husband in bed last night, and it's really true. And we got a really intimate conversation going from a complete stranger. And that's pretty hard to do at an exhibition. So appealing to the 5 senses is a great way to appeal to women and to sell to women, because you're making that whole experience multi-layered and multifaceted. And I'm also showing Louisa's thing here to remind you, if you haven't already given me your address for your roll-on pulse de-stressor, then please do, so that we can get those sent out to you as soon as possible. Okay, so to summarize this this 4th bit, thinking about your environment, thinking about making it as welcoming and as beautiful as possible. Louisa definitely does this with her treatment room. That is just a wonderful space to be in. The sounds, the smells, the feelings, the luxurious towels she puts on you, all the treatments, that's just great. That's just amazing. And think about replenishment, any refreshments that you give to people to make them feel that they're being cared for and looked after. And think about all of the senses, how you can appeal to the senses, so that you can connect with them on different levels. So how could that relate to your buying experience, the ones that you noted at the beginning of the call, and also at in your business? How could you do that in your business? Okay, moving on. Stories. Now, stories are great for engaging people, for helping them to feel that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones feeling like this, that they can start to envisage what working with you is like because they've heard stories about how it is for other people. And also narratives are kind of more interesting. If I've been telling you a lot of stories today, and they're kind of, I hope, more interesting than facts and figures. So I'm going to now pass over the microphones. If you want to share any of your stories from things that we've talked about today, your buying experience, or how you can incorporate things into your business, I'm going to have a look and see if anyone's got their hand up. If you want to put your hand up, and I will open the mic to you and see if you want to share any of your stories. Don't be shy. I can see, do you know where the hand up button is? No one's got their hand up. I'm just going to check the chat box to see if anyone's put anything in there. Can't see anything there, so I'll just check once more, see if, oh yes, oh goody goody, yes, we've got some hands up. Okay, I'm going to go first to Mary. Mary, what would you like to share? This is Mary here.
Hello, Nikki.
Hiya.
Yeah, so it's really just to support all the things you've said. I mean, the first buying experience that came to mind was buying this course. And all the things that you've done with making a connection. I knew you slightly beforehand through the WOBS group.
That's right.
And the fact that we had a conversation and it felt really natural and easy and friendly. And you made it easy to make that connection. I was trying to think of some offline purchases, but I buy such a lot online.
That's
for myself.
true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you for that. And just by chatting to you, I got to know you a bit more. You're based in Cornwall, for those that don't know. So I'll be passing by if I don't stop and say hello. I'll at least be passing by next week. And I got to know you, and you were really generous and pulled out one of your cards, your lovely cards that you do, your readings. For me on the call, so we got to know each other a bit better from that point of view, and I thought that was a great way of drawing clients in, potential clients in, to get them to find out more.
Yes, I use, like you with your chocolates and the words, I use those cards in business exhibitions and meetings, all sorts of places, and it just generates a totally different level of conversation, as you said.
I bet it does. Brilliant. Thanks, Mary. Thank you. I'm going to go to Louisa. Louisa now. Here's Louisa over here.
Hi Nikki, hi everyone. I just wanted to say, with working with clients for massage and therapies, I'm always thinking of the person anyway, but also I think since working with you, and I've started to put together some packages for individual people, like totally, it's funny because I was working on it today, because some people come to the end of the packages and I'm thinking of what they'd like next and what's the best for their needs. And today I was thinking, well, part of me wanted to put something on my website that people could see and buy, people who maybe I don't know, although most of the people I have met before at events. So it was kind of easier than me sitting down and writing a tailored plan. But that's like totally the opposite of what you've been saying today, and I've put it off doing it, kind of thinking it's not necessarily going to work. But well, my point is, since I've offered clients individual packages, I've sold more treatments, and they've got a lot more from it, plus they're following what I'm recommending for them, so they're getting really positive benefits. And a few years ago I'd have lots of worries, like, oh, you know, are they going to be able to afford it, or is this going to be a lot, because the way I'm packaging it up, instead of offering one hour and then seeing whether they want to book another one. So it's kind of been a win situation, because they've got great results from coming regularly and committing, and you know, and it's helped me as well with consistent income. So I just thought I'd share that. Hopefully
that's a brilliant, that's a brilliant share, and it's exactly what we're talking about, that rather than go for bulk quantity of clients and mass mailings and mass products and all of that kind of thing, thinking small, thinking tailoring, thinking how can you make the service that you do even better, even tailored, even more tailored to the client, and they will keep coming back for more and more, won't they? And they'll get better results and tell other people. and that will
Yeah.
also be a win-win. Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for that example. Thank you for that. Great. So I'm gonna move on to the final bit, is all just to summarize how telling stories help. So we know we're not alone. We learn from each other. We've just learned from other people how they do things. We identify with similar situations, and that the narrative is more interesting just than facts and figures. Examples are more interesting than just facts and figures, so we can learn from each other. So to summarize, we're coming to the end of this. To summarize, key things to help you sell better to women, and that women will respond to, is making them feel special and significant, not a number. Connecting and getting to know them and taking it step by step so that they trust you before they buy from you. Being honest and authentic, telling them the truth. Considering the whole customer experience, the different senses, the sensory experience, and sharing stories. And all of these can be applied to the one-to-one conversations you have with them, how you come across in your social media, how you put together your emails. All of these ideas can be applied to the different types of marketing that you do in networking, definitely, all of this kind of thing. So lots of ideas that you could be applying there. So what happens next? The course starts in a month's time on the 27th of April. I have got some ideas of things to do in the meantime, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because I might not have time to do them as I'm going away on 10 days holiday. But if I do have any more ideas, you'll be the first to know, and I might ask you to help share them. And all of the information of what's happening next, any new promotional ideas, what happens with the course, the build up to starting the program, all of that kind of thing will be in this group, this Facebook group that you are now members of, Nikki Sell Like a Woman group. So please, after today, go in and introduce yourself, get to know each other. Find out what each other does, and then we've got a really nice community to work with together from the 27th of April. The calls on the 27th of April will be more like this, hopefully with better connection and not such bad sound, but and you'll have workbooks as well, but it will be checking in with you, engaging with you, interaction, opening the mics, that sort of thing. So that's how we will be moving forward. So unless you want to put your hand up and comment on anything else, Louisa, have you still got your hand up from before, or is it a new thing?
Yes, sorry, I have. I'm going to lower it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just checking. Just checking. So unless there's any more comments, I will wish you a happy rest of the day, and look forward to speaking to you all on the 27th of April, if not before. Okay, bye.